There are geostrategic implications for everything that's happening longer term here. If you think about Iran and Venezuela, their illicit oil is being purchased primarily by China. That illicit oil is now coming under U.S. control. That's going to have a major impact on China. You think about China competing against us with rare earth minerals. We're going to control the flow of oil. It's not about producing the oil as much as it is about controlling it. And with oil under control, and Venezuelan oil under American control, I think we see what's happening in Iran. There is a change underway right now. And if you think about the movements in Greenland, again, long-term geostrategic implications there. China, the East China Sea, the South China Sea. Again, the boats, the harassment that's going on. President Trump has re-engaged with Japan in a way that shows even greater strength. I was the ambassador to Japan back when Prime Minister Abe was in office. I now see Prime Minister Takaichi and President Trump taking the relationship even further. China hates this.
Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty speaking with Maria on Sunday about China's new strategies to undermine America's influence in the West. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney meeting Xi Jinping last week in Beijing, signing a, quote, new strategic partnership deal to lower tariffs on Chinese electric vehicle imports and canola oil from Canada, among other ag products. This agreement shows Canada would rather mend a once-strained trade relationship with China instead of side with the United States on national security. Here's Mark Carney.
Our relationship, the one comparison I will give you with the United States, our relationship, this is no insight, is much more multifaceted, much deeper, much broader than it is with China. But yes, in terms of the way that our relationship has progressed in recent months with China, it is more predictable, and you see results coming from that.
Carney also says that Ottawa and China are in lockstep against President Trump's desire to acquire Greenland. I want to bring in Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, another thing that Carney said over the weekend is that Canada's longstanding close economic relationship with the U.S. is over.
Yes, and that's really an important point. President Trump gets a lot of credit for raising national security issues and concerns that we have with Canada, and his predecessors let him slide. But the important thing is to solve those problems, not to make them worse. And right now, relations between Ottawa and Washington are going in the wrong direction. And this is important because although there are concerns about Greenland, we've got greater concerns about Canada, which is much closer. We have that long, undefended border. So this is important for President Trump to actually start to kiss and make up with Carney, because at this point, our security has been endangered by the problems with Ottawa moving closer to China.
Yeah, Liz Peek is here. She's got a question for you.
Good morning, Gordon. The president, in his long post about his rationale for forcing a deal with Greenland, talked about the Golden Dome and the essential nature, that it's essential to have Greenland part of that Golden Dome and Canada. Is that your understanding, that the Golden Dome project that he is very keen on, and I think is incredibly important for the security of the United States, requires not only, that covers not only Canada, but requires Greenland? Do you agree with that?
Well, certainly, because you can't protect the United States from missiles coming over the Arctic unless you have facilities and radars in Canada and in Greenland. This is just essential. It's geography. The question, though, is do you actually need to annex Greenland to do that? And of course, no, because Greenland is a part of Denmark. Denmark is a NATO member, and we have cooperated with Denmark on Greenland for decades, and we can continue to do so even if Greenland remains a part of Denmark. The point here, though, is going to be that essentially we do need close cooperation in the Arctic, because China and Russia have been increasing their military activities in the region, and that threatens Greenland, Denmark, Canada, and the United States. So we need to work together.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that because, look, the Russians have been using that Arctic region, the waters there, for their submarines and their ships for years. And you know, the United States used to have tens of thousands of troops in Greenland, but we reduced that over the years. If you're Canada, are you concerned about these incursions? And does it make more sense to play nice, if you will, with China or even Russia because you're worried about your own border?
Well, yes, because we know that the Chinese in 2024, for the first time, sent a research submarine under the Arctic ice cap, which really is a prelude to the Chinese sending a submarine with ballistic missiles there. Also, we have seen the Chinese and Russians cooperate on military drills, with Chinese bombers taking off from Russian bases in the Arctic. So Canada right now is, vulnerable, because it has that long border in the Arctic, and it's got very few in the way of defense facilities there. And by the way, this is also a problem for the United States, because despite all of the Chinese and Russian naval activity in the Arctic, we do not have a naval base in Alaska, which is our Arctic frontier. So, it's not only Denmark that went to sleep on Greenland, and the Danes have admitted that, but it's also the Canadians and the Americans. We have all neglected the Arctic, and the Chinese and Russians are taking advantage of that.
Right, and we've got a lot of our ships right now are actually still concentrated in the Caribbean and off the coast of Venezuela. So there's that asset question mark as well. That's played into the Iran story. We did sign, the U.S. did a new deal with Taiwan. So it's a new trade deal. It did lower American tariffs on Taiwanese goods to 15% in exchange for $250 billion of investment into American technology. That's more than $165 billion from Taiwan Semiconductor in U.S.-based chip manufacturing. Now, China condemns this. They say they firmly oppose the agreement. They still claim that Taiwan is their territory. The House China Select Committee did pass a funding bill last week, which secures over $2 billion for Taiwan's defense against China, Gordon. I want to get your thoughts on this, because the other thing that Taiwan Semiconductor is, they're going to be, they've been buying more land, and they've been expanding in Arizona. So they actually are, committing and making the strides to build these facilities in the United States. That's important.
That's absolutely critical, because we have offshored our ability to make microchips, and we need to bring that back into the U.S. And TSMC, with its 6 or so planned fabs in the Phoenix area, they're absolutely critical to that. And when you look at that $250 billion commitment, about half of it is TSMC. So this is going to be important going forward. Anything that brings Taiwan and the U.S. closer together, that's a really good thing, because that spells deterrence. And that means peace and stability in the East Asian region.
Yeah, no, and it also means a lot of U.S. jobs, in particular for that region, which, again, is important. Gordon Chang, thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
All right, I always appreciate your perspective. We're going to be right back, everybody.